There.
You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. I'm Mel Tiller, your host. I'm thrilled to be with you today, and today as my guest, we have a young lady that many of you know. You've certainly heard her name, and she now wants to be the mayor of Las Vegas. Her name is Victoria Seaman. Victoria, welcome to the show.
I am so grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Let's get started. Why do you want to be the mayor of Las Vegas?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm just grateful to be able to be on here and share my message. We have been doing great things in the city of Las Vegas, and I want to continue those things. I've been on the council now for 4 years, and public safety is number one in the city of Las Vegas. And as part of our job on the council, on the city as mayor, is to keep our community safe with over 40 million tourists coming in a year. Since being on the council, I think we've done some great things in the city, and I want to continue to do those things. And so that is why I'm running for mayor. We need an
Okay.
experience.
All right. So we're talking about the things that have been done. Talk to me about your vision for the future. What do you envision Las Vegas doing in the future?
Well, as you know, we've become, the number one sports city in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we just had F1 this weekend,
Yes.
and I was it is in the county, but I was a little worried, but I think that it went off without many problems at all. And talking to some of my constituents that were there, very pleased. And we now have a 10-year contract. It's going to bring in a lot of economic diversity. And from the sound of it, the 1.2 billion in revenue, it sounds like they've probably met that. So I'm pretty excited about what the future is going to bring for our city, what we're going to do. And again, public safety is number one. We need to talk about some of the things that I'd like to see happen as your mayor. And one of them is the Children's Hospital. We are a big city now competing with a lot of other big cities. And the one thing that we don't have, and I think we're only one of two of our size in the country that doesn't have a children's hospital. And as a councilwoman, I have many people coming to my office and telling me the heartbreaking stories of having to take their sick children out of state. So that's one of the goals that I have as the mayor. And as you probably have heard, I have a reputation for not kicking things down the road. I have tackled tough issues head on, our shelter, Badlands, many of the other things that we've encountered. And I think as a leader, you need someone experienced who's not afraid to tackle those tough issues, because there's a lot of problems facing our country right now.
Yes.
And so you need someone who is more than willing to step up and tackle those tough issues. And if you at all see local news or read the newspaper, you've heard of me.
Yes, a lot of people have heard of you. Let's talk a little bit about the $1.2 billion that we think will be generated by F1, predicted would be generated by F1. How do you ensure that multiple communities, that multiple businesses and so forth will get a part of that 1.2 billion?
Well, first of all, the revenue, people coming to our city use multiple facilities, and that tax revenue comes to the state, the city, the county. And as your mayor, I always want to make sure that we're good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and that we're making sure that we're taking care of all the needs of the city of Las Vegas.
So how do people get in contact with you, those who want to be a part of your campaign and speak with you about some issues that they're having?
Well, they can just go to my website, or they can email me or give me a personal phone call. I give out my personal cell phone, which is 702-466-0407. My website is victoriaseaman.com. My email is victoria@victoriaseaman.com. If people have a problem in my ward, which is Ward 2, they can email my office, ward2@lasvegasnevada.com. And my office staff takes the first call on an issue, because when they call me personal about Ward 2, we work together in my office. So it's easier when you have a constituent issue, 702-229-2420. My office is hands-on. I think the important thing about a leader is who you surround yourself with. I surround with myself with assistants that care about this city as much as I do. And we, in 4 years, 4.5 years, have resolved nearly 3,000 constituent issues in my ward. And we also get calls from other wards. And what we do is we make sure that we get them to the right resource in their ward. And we're always there. If it's a simple thing, we'll just resolve it ourselves. But I think that that's one of the most important things that I have done as a councilwoman and will do as mayor, is you have to surround yourself with a team that's going to work hard for the constituents as much as you are, because there are about 150,000 approximately constituents in my ward. And so my team and I work together to resolve those issues. And as a mayor at large, there's probably 700, close to 700,000 constituents.
So we've talked about the Children's Hospital. We've talked about public safety. What other major challenges do you see Las Vegas facing?
Well, our biggest challenge right now is Badlands. And this is something that began before I became a councilwoman in my ward. We are sitting with $280 million judgments in the Supreme Court right now. And a lot of people don't know about that. And that's why I think it's really important to bring transparency, more transparency to the city, because people need to know the issues that we're facing. And there are so many people right now that, even in my own ward, that still don't know that we're still dealing with Badlands. One of my goals when I got elected was to push
So
the
do us a favor and explain Badlands just a little bit more for the listening audience. Not everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
So it's a very complex issue, but to get to the basics, before I was elected, the prior councilman denied someone to build in property that he owned. And so, to make a long story short, the constituents in that particular complex fought against him as well. And it became a very political issue. And he was voted down to build in his property. And he ended up suing the city. And I'm just making it really simplified, but it's
Right.
much more
Yes.
complex than what I'm telling you.
Understood.
And what ended up happening is 3 different judges, 3 different lawsuits on the Badlands voted against the city. When I got elected, they were in the middle of these lawsuits, and I pleaded with the council, was very outspoken about how important it was before there were any judgments to try to work with the builder to settle it. That didn't happen. There were points where I had a settlement, but we knew we didn't have the votes, and it didn't happen. And now we're talking, in the interim, 3 different judges and 3 different lawsuits. We, the city, owe the builder $280 million that we have on appeal at the Supreme Court. And again, a lot of people don't know about this. And I've been very outspoken about it because I believe we need to work with the developer to settle it. Recently, we got back into settlement talks, and we have not come to a conclusion. I don't ever want to say it's too little too late, but this is something that I begged the council to do for the 4.5 years that I've been there. And once somebody has a judgment of that size, it's a little harder to settle.
Yes.
So when I tell you I've been outspoken, because I believe that we need to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, whether you're a councilman, a commissioner, a legislator. Our job is to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. And to really, as a leader, we have to think about what the consequences are. So this is something that, I really feel could have been settled, should be settled. And I'm still have a little bit of hope that we're going to be able to settle this before the city is on the line for this much money. We still have a case that hasn't been adjudicated. But when you talk about the consequences of who we elect, look what we're dealing with. And this is, due to elected officials that didn't know the law or didn't look at the consequences of what they were doing. And I will say that, and I feel very strongly about it, because whenever I am sitting on that dais or when I was in the state legislature, it is important for me to know the law and know the consequences of my vote, because I'm representing an entire community that is going to be on the line for bad consequences.
Well, thank you very much for that information. Very, very interesting information. And you are right. Many people don't know about that. Let's slide over to something else that's kind of near and dear to my heart. As the mayor of Las Vegas, how can you impact CCSD, our school system? This is one of the glaring weaknesses of our community, of our state. We have a school system that in many cases is ranked dead last. And I always say everybody living in this city should be embarrassed that CCSD, our school system, is dead last when we have Las Vegas generating the kind of money that it is generating and leading the world in so many different areas. And it looks like we are simply abandoning our kids. How in the world can we possibly be last on the list? It doesn't make very much sense, and nobody can really explain it. As mayor, how can you impact that situation?
Well, thank you for that question. And I hate to say this, but you are absolutely 100% right about that. We are last on the list in education, which is completely embarrassing. And we should not be, with the revenue that we've put forth and what the governor is now putting forth. I'm hoping that with his changes, there will be some change. But how can we? Well, number one, I got elected 4.5 years ago. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we took some of that COVID money and we started a charter school. And it is thriving, bilingual charter school in one of the most needed areas of downtown. Why did we do this? So during COVID, when all the schools shut down, the city stepped up and we took all those children that we could into our Strong Start academies where they could be tutored. And, I couldn't wrap my head around how we're able to do it, but the schools had to close. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Parents still had to go to work. Children still needed to be educated. So we took that on. And most recently, when in my ward, teachers decided not to come in and they had to close the school in my area, we took those children again into our Strong Start Academy. And what's so disheartening to me is that when they went into the legislative session after we started our school, there was a legislator that actually wanted to stop us from opening charter schools at the city level and saying it wasn't in our jurisdiction. Well, let me tell you something. When you're last on the list, isn't it better that we try something different? So fortunately, she was not successful. And our school is thriving in an underserved area. And if we can do more, I will do more as mayor, as a city councilwoman, because it is important that we educate our children. They're the next generation. And they've already lost out on so much during COVID. And so I will continue to do that. We also, by the legislature, were given the authority to appoint someone to the school district, but they're a non-voting member. Okay, well, it's a start. I think they should have been a voting member if they're dedicating all their time and they're representing the municipalities. But it's a start. And I'm actually meeting with him today or tomorrow. I'm not sure. It's on my calendar. And our representative that we appointed, Adam Johnson, and I want to hear what his thoughts are. And I want to tell him my thoughts. I mean, tomorrow night, I'm going to a vigil for a boy, 17, that was killed right outside Rancho High School.
Yes, yes.
Not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And so I urge people to look at who they're voting for, these trustees, because we need change and we need real change. And it starts with us as leaders. And even though I'm unable to make some of those decisions, I certainly as a leader can speak out against what is happening or for what we need. And that is what I've done and I will continue to do.
Victoria, you've been gracious with your time. What would you like to leave our listening audience with?
I would like to leave them with, I promise you that I will continue to not kick issues down the road and deal with them head on. It's important for me, this little time that I'm able to be a leader, that I make a difference in the community. So I just urge people to contact me to let me know what their issues are in the city. And I will continue to fight for those issues and important things in our community, making our education better, our quality of life better, our public safety. Crime is out of control, and we need to support our law enforcement and make sure that we support those who are going to hold people accountable. And if people want to get a hold of me, they can just go to my website, victoriaseaman.com. They can email me, they can call me. I'm always willing to listen. Thank you so much for having me here today.
It has been our pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. This is Victoria Seaman, and she wants to be the next mayor of Las Vegas. You've heard it here on Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. I'm Mel Tiller, your host, and until next time, keep it 100.